we are live one more time. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sucharita, and I am joined by some very wonderful film critic friends of mine, Rahul Desai, Uday Bhatia, Ishita Sengupta. Hello.
Hi.
Say hello, everybody. थोड़ा
Yes,
जोश में बोलो.
silent.
Hello.
Hello.
It's been a long weekend. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, what? There's been so much. And Ishita and I just
Yeah.
returned from TIFF. So I feel like I have been on a marathon watching and writing spree and I've lost my mind a little bit. Before we begin discussing everything we watched, happy belated birthday to Ishita. लिख दे सब comments में जो अगर देख रहे हैं Ishita का birthday था कल.
Nice.
तो सब comments में लिख दे happy birthday Ishita. I mean right now there's only 15 people. People are going to join us shortly. Happy birthday Ishita.
Oh my
Okay.
God. Thank you. Thank you.
We should start
Moving
singing
forward.
here also.
Please, no, stop singing.
Happy birthday
move
to you.
Oh
Okay.
God.
Hey,
Uh-huh,
Ishita
let's-
scolded us enough for singing this last few days. So
Well, you've been singing non-stop.
Yes.
we did it a few times.
Oh my
Here they
God.
Here they go. Yeah, yeah. All right, Ishita, you start. What are the films and shows or whatever you've seen this week?
I watched Bads of Bollywood and I watched Nishaanchi. And Sabar
Rahul?
Bonda I'd watched at Sundance.
Earlier at Sundance. Rahul, what have you watched this week?
Yeah, I watched these three that she mentioned. Sabar Bonda also I watched last week only, so it was new to me. And I watched also Trial Season 2, Hotstar show. Good Wife
Okay.
remake.
And Uday, what have you watched?
Same, the three and not the trial.
Okay, great. So let three and not the trial. Let's start with Bads of Bollywood, Ballads of Bollywood, Bastards of
Are we calling
Bollywood.
it bads only?
क्या बोलेंगे अभी और? What else?
I don't
is
know.
there?
Everyone says bads, but obviously, part of the show's twist is that it's bastards. So, whatever.
Yeah, well, it's not spelled properly. We are again in differing opinion here, you guys. I did not like this show. It didn't work for me. I thought it was severely undercooked. The layer of satire that it's intended to have, for me, didn't come across because it was just so severely undercooked. I couldn't look beyond the technical and storytelling ineptitude to go to enjoying it. Having said that, I thought Raghav Jiwal was fantastic, and I thought the last episode just lands beautifully. I really enjoyed the whole coming together, the climax, because it has everything in a Bollywood film. It has blackmail, it has Najaiz Aulad, it has Vidwa Ma, it has all of that stuff happening. All the tropes of Bollywood come together in the last episode to create this sort of cornucopia of what Hindi cinema is. But I'll get into that in a minute. Uday, do you want to start with Bads of Bollywood?
No, let someone who reviewed it start. And
Okay, Rahul.
No,
tu
they
bata.
actually finished watching it today, so I think it's freshest in his mind.
So, okay, then you and Uday can go at it. Rahul, you go.
It took me a while to get into the show. Like, in fact, for the first 2 or 3 episodes, I had more or less the same feelings as you. I had dismissed it in my head already. It was hard for me to get past, the technical rawness. It did feel like someone's first directorial effort. The lot of jokes weren't landing. The cameos weren't working. The timing was a little off. But I don't know. After the halfway point, I started getting into it because till then, you keep looking at it as a sort of a lesser Farah Khan template, right? Like, because that's the kind of spoofy stuff that I think a lot of us were expecting and hoping for. And obviously, Aryan Khan is highly inspired by Farah. But then I think after the halfway point, I started to see like the fact that this satire was slightly different. It was less playful and a little more angry and bitter. And I actually like that because I don't think a lot of filmmakers who stem from families within the industry are critical of the industry. Like beyond all the jokes, Raghav Jewel, amazing, as you said. A lot of gags worked also, especially the Imran Hashmi one, which I think all of us were tripping over. Yeah, I think beyond all that, if you look for something in Bads of Bollywood, I think there is a very clear sort of opinion and critique of the world that maybe the director has watched while growing up and the world that now he is a part of. So I like the fact that eventually the last episode when everything comes together and all the tropes you talk about, I actually read it differently. I thought it was a sort of almost a middle finger to all the tropes that we were expecting because it was a love story. It was like a DDLJ thing going on between the hero and heroine. The father is, obviously 100 inspirations and all. And it was very conventional till then. So what the twist did for me was basically uh, tell us that, whatever we were, or however we are conditioned to view such rom-coms or satires or spoofs or love stories, none of it is honest either because the industry is not honest. So, like, again, it depends on how you choose to view or how the twist lands for you. And because it landed for me, I started sort of thinking back to even when the show didn't work for me, was I able to see that voice? And I was like largely. I think, in fact, a couple of friends had messaged while we were watching the show. Third episode, I was like, this is not working. It's actually not a good show at all. So a lot of people were disappointed. And then by the end, I was like, abhi inko kaise bolu ke abhi now it worked for me. How to change my opinion? So, but that's the thing about shows. Sometimes a lot of things work in hindsight and one like the finale worked for me also, so
Yeah.
it changes your opinion about how so many things were happening and how it wasn't just the gags. It just wasn't like joke humor all the time. It just wasn't like a bunch of boys making. It was also someone who sees through the bullshit of the Hindi film industry and is trying to actually express himself about it.
Yeah. Again, like this is very specifically for fans of Hindi cinema. If you're not a
Yeah.
die-hard fan of Hindi cinema, and if you're approaching this show from any other country in the world, 70% of it will not make sense to you because these are all jokes that have written themselves over the last few years. Like it's so. When that Wankhede lookalike appears, it's like all hell breaks loose because every single person in this nation who follows Hindi cinema followed that whole story. And then the last shot of episode 1 is say no to drugs, and then it cuts to directed by Aryan Khan. So you see what he's doing, you see what's going on, but it's just like that's all I could see. The very obvious and deliberate attempt to make these points and to which is whatever you make a show, who are you hurting? But for me as a whole experience of filmmaking and storytelling, it didn't come together at all until the last episode. And I think when Karan Johar is cast as an actor, he fortunately or unfortunately only does well when he's doing the angry scenes, when he's doing the Bombay Velvet, or like when he's like, don't mess with the movie Mafia, main tera career kharab kar dunga. He's so good. But when he's playing himself at parties, why is it that doesn't land for me at all? I don't think he's very good at playing himself. He's very good at playing an angry version of himself. Ishita, you were also quite taken by the show. Now let's go to you. Tell me what all you agree with Rahul here. Were you sort of also feeling कि ये हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है, and then it just landed for you?
Yeah, I think the first episode it didn't work for me because I was like little. I think I was also like jet lagged, but I was not getting it. And by the second episode, I feel like when the fun started, and I got the tone of the show, which is like almost like sardonic in a way, Which I think that is when the show worked for me, and also so much of it also works because who the director is, because he is an insider. He has both his legs inside the industry, so what we see and how we read the show has so much to do with Aryan's subject position in the industry. And honestly, I thought that he might just play defensive because of everything that he's gone through, and he might just play safe. And I really like that he did not. He
Yeah.
almost played offensive. Like he was like, fuck you, to everything that was expected of him. And it was just not the drug thing. There were a lot of other things. Like, for example, the Ahmed and Rajamouli cameo really worked for me because
It's very funny.
it is very funny. I mean, in my head, I thought that for someone who has grown up in the industry, who has been to these parties, who has seen two greats talk, he knows what exactly they talk about, which is nonsense like food. But from an outside, like a Laksh, when he's standing, he's like they're probably talking about something very serious. So I liked how he used
इटली में
his
shoot करेंगे. Yeah.
right. So I liked how he used his insider position, to almost confirm everything we think about the industry. That yes, Karan Johar probably, is a patron saint of nepotism. Yes, people have affairs. So it's not that he was trying to sanitize anything, which really worked for me.
The first two episodes, I was so annoyed with the fact that show refused to like pick a lane with terms to its tonality. I couldn't figure if this is a comedy or if this is like an actual drama, and then it veers more towards comedy as it proceeds. It really goes into the like whatever, all that nonsense that we keep seeing. But yes, the Amir and Rajamouli, so there's like all these wonderful little gags and cameos that work on their own. But like when Badshah shows up and says ki mere kaan se khoon nikal raha hai, I'm like, what? Like it kept pulling me out of the thing quite a bit. And also in episode 2, so like you see this idea of him saying ki main auraton pe haath nahi uthata, and then he comes the Lakshya's character, who is, by the way, is just such a good looking actor, and he's so good. He comes back and then he's almost hits the studio head and he says, luckily main bhi auraton pe haath nahi uthata. So I'm like, this is just a Gen Z version of saying ki maine haathon mein chudiyan nahi pehen rakhi hai. You're not really making the point that you think you're making here. But that's what I mean by saying that I feel like it's a little undercooked, and it doesn't feel like it's very good filmmaking. I don't know. Uday?
I agree with all that. As in, I don't think it's very good, but I thought it was very watchable.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it the whole way through. Like, I really didn't think it was going to be as much fun as it was. I think part of it, as Ishita was pointing out, does come from the fact that it's Aryan making it. And so you're thinking, is he talking about his dad? Is he talking about his dad's friends? Is he, is this something that he's observed, or is this something that he's just sort of come up with it in writer's room? Those speculations are fun. You do it as it's going on. But and also I do think while the writing in the larger, like in the storytelling sense, is kind of sometimes here, sometimes there, I think the dialogue's pretty funny throughout. Like I did enjoy it. There are I mean it's kind of stupid humor a lot of the time, but it is quite funny, in a Delhi belly kind of way, except the Bombay version of that. It was quite amusing, I thought.
Yeah, amusing is the right word.
Entourage kind of, I thought, was quite an influence on this. You can see a lot of the strands, some strand here, strand there from Entourage, and like different relationships and all. You do see it somewhere threaded through, nothing too blatant, but I think it is there a bit.
The one Rajiv Masan stand-in really annoyed me. Like, he's a journalist, but he's also a film critic who has an elaborate video TV show where he has bobbleheads of the actors that he's talking about. But he's also a star fucker. But he's also like the most important journalistic ones. I was just like, oh, is that how you see what film critics do?
That's what most of them think about film criticism, journalism. It's all one, right? Like it's an amalgamation of so many things, and it's just a surrogate for so many kinds of journalism. And the last thing to expect with most of these shows or films is to even understand what film journalism is, because I think there's such a it's just the way they look at their own is also the way they look at us. It's just very full of caricatures and absolute misunderstandings and this and that. But yeah, I expected a character like that. I've seen Dharma do this with shows. They've tried to make shows like this, right? With Fame Game and the Imran Hashmi show, right? With Showtime. So
I was in Showtime.
Yeah. And those for me didn't land as much, because I think that felt like a more general dramatic satire of the way the Bollywood works. It was more playing to the gallery of how people think Bollywood is and behaves. Here, I think there was some kind of personal space that it came from. And as Ishita said, because we know it's Aryan, I think the metaness is the language, but I think beneath that also there was a lot of frustration. There was a lot of like he was actually even taking a swing at the way Bollywood stories are told. The way not one film is shot through the show, even though they keep talking about making films. And I find that very like in the last episode, you start to understand all this. The cynicism in general, the entire twist also confirms so many things we think that Bollywood does, and it also seems to a lot of it takes a swing at you know how we think it's just about nepotism and certain kinds of stories being told, and I feel like he eventually managed to pull it together before it got away from him, because I think he was going
Yeah.
really hard with the gags. I think he was getting carried away with a lot of the access filmmaking, because the whole industry was at his disposal, and after a while I was like, just it's one string after another. But I'm glad that something came through in the end, and it's true the filmmaking was not very good, and I know like from the first episode only I was being pulled out of it, because not just the filmmaking or the shot taking, it's just the way the actors were being directed and the way the shots were being cut and the scenes were being staged. The timing just wasn't landing, and I was like, we're in for a long 7 episodes if the
Yeah.
humor does not work. But for me, it wasn't so much about the humor by the end. I actually liked that there was something within that. There was a heart that I don't see in a lot of shows like this. Like obviously back in the day when Luck by Chance used to be made, and when people within the industry were making films, you used to see a lot of it being culled from their own experiences. But there was always a story at the center, and since then, I think because of social media, because of uh, the way how everyone is so accessible and how everyone's perception is influenced by social media and the internet, and there's no exclusivity so much. So I think because of that, I think this is a very good reflection of this era, how we view films, how we view Bollywood. And yeah, I can just hope like the next season, if there is one, sort of the filmmaking is a little more refined and you see a little more growth in that sense.
And also it's also not just personal to Aryan Khan. I feel like it's personal to like a lot of people on the show as well. Lakshay, for instance, he was announced
Yeah.
in two major films that never took off before Kill happened. He was supposed to do the sequel of Dostana. The film was announced. Colin D'Cunha, I think, was supposed to direct it, and he was in it with Kartik Aryan, I think, and Janvi Kapoor.
Yeah.
So that's like a major announcement for him, and that's what was supposed to kickstart his career, which just never happened. Then he was supposed to be in this film with Gurfateh Pirzada and the actress who just made her debut opposite Vikrant Masi in that film that didn't work. What's her name?
Shania.
Anaya,
Shania.
right? Shania Kapoor. And that was also announced, right? Karan Johar himself on his Instagram had posted those creatives introducing Shania, introducing Lakshay, bringing to Gurfateh.
Right.
Nothing happened, did not materialize. So for him also, when I spoke with him for Kill, when that film premiered at TIFF, he was like, now suddenly he's become this heartthrob, and of course he deserves to, because he's very talented and he's very, very good looking. But at that time there was so much pain in his voice talking to him. If you go back to whoever's watching, please go back to my interview with Lakshay from Toronto 2023. All right, you can go watch it on my channel. You can hear the pain in his voice. He's like, मेरा debut यहाँ होना था, फिर मेरा डेब्यू यहाँ होना था, मैं तो इतने सालों से वेट कर रहा हूँ, मेरा डेब्यू ही नहीं हो रहा है, बट आई एम सो हैप्पी कि यहाँ पे मेरी फिल्म आई है और उसको ऐसा रिस्पॉन्स मिल रहा है. सो फॉर हिम आल्सो I think it's very, very personal, and he deserves every bit of the appreciation that comes his way. I want to take a moment here to talk about Raghav Jayal and how he completely stands out from the rest of the show. The show for me turned a corner in episode 5, when again this is ironic because it's due to bad writing, because the conflict of the best friend so far was just not defined. The best friend was just comedy relief, which is what in the first 4 episodes I was like, pick a lane, right? What is happening? The best friend so far was only comedy relief, but suddenly in episode 5 the best friend becomes the main conflict when the video shot of him with Gafur goes viral, and then he's like, ab hum isko film se nikal denge, isko ye kar denge, wo kar denge. So I was like, okay, this is bad writing. But then suddenly Raghav Jiyal comes into his own because now he has something to do. So far, he was doing. Sure, the Imran Hashmi gag is very funny, but also very stupid. Like, they've hired Imran Hashmi to be an intimacy coordinator. I couldn't get over it. I couldn't get past that. This is not good writing. But whatever, it's funny because Raghav makes it his own, and he's such a unique actor. No two things he does have the same shadow of the previous character in the every next character that he does. And uh, and he's so fresh, and he brings such a freshness to this, right? He's not playing this character like one would anticipate somebody would play this character. So in episode 5, when he becomes the main conflict, that's when the show sort of picked up again for me. And then it became what it became. And shooting Goa on green screen was also just like so bizarre to watch. Like, you have so much money, why are you shooting Goa in green screen, and why does it look like this is Maldives and not Goa? Was this supposed to be? I don't know. Yeah, Uday, thoughts on Raghav?
Raghav's really good. I agree. I think he's like by far and above the energy of this series. I think if they didn't have him there, it would be tough, like a much tougher sell and a much tougher watch. I disagree on the Imran Hashmi thing being bad writing. I think it's so good. And it's like all the stupid things that they make the four of them do in those 10 minutes are brilliant. Every time Raghav Jiyal goes Tamalli, I cracked up. It's even the bodyguard having to participate in the intimacy whatever training sessions and all that was really funny. I enjoyed that bit like the most. Like, I mean, I think that would work even for someone who doesn't get the supreme joke of Imran Hashmi being an intimacy coordinator, but when you have the context to it, is unbelievably funny.
And then the father just dies, like he's dead. One day. So far, we've not known in 6 episodes. This happens in episode 6. 6 episodes, we've not even known that he's unwell. Maybe he is a little bit. I don't know. That's not anything. And then he's sick. And then he's dead. And then the next day, the funeral is over. The K3G moment arrives. The lighting of the funeral pyre, the homage to the K3G scene, which is beautiful. Then the same day, they've gone to Bombay. The same day the event has happened. The same day the whole... So within like 24 hours, so much happens. And it's like your father died yesterday. Do we remember? That irked me. Ishita? When he says, my dad, my hero, it rings very hollow because I'm like, we didn't know him. We didn't know your dad at all.
No, I feel like the dad being unwell, I think it was kind of built throughout in a way, like in bits and pieces. At least that's what I remember. That, I think like Mona Singh's character constantly telling him off not to drink, not to smoke. I think it was building up to something, which eventually led to that whole liver transplant thing and him dying. And I don't know, see, it's like the tonality of the show beyond a point really worked for me. Like Uday said, even the Imran Hashmi bit. Like Raghav Jiyal with tears in his eyes singing that song like a patriot. Like, he is the only country I believe in. Imran Hashmi is what I only believe in. I thought was a very good use of Imran Hashmi. Yeah. So, like these bits worked for me. Like the show, even like what you are saying, that Lakshmit, now that you are saying about the time thing, it's hitting me. But when I was watching it, the pace added up for the way it ended.
Yeah.
I thought the dad would die, so I was just waiting for it for a couple of episodes. I was, it came a little later than I thought.
But then
But they
again,
needed to resolve it, right? Like, they needed to resolve the best friends part. So obviously, a parent dying is the greatest way to bring them back together in a shortcut, because obviously the writing is not mature enough to actually have them sort of spar it out as friends. So but the time thing and all, see, these are again things like I think I mentioned during our Sayara chat also. Like, if it doesn't work, now you're going to find these little logistical issues. And this happens to me so often every week that when you say this and then you're like say how can in the same day and basically logical obvious logical loopholes. And I'm like, yeah, obviously. But like while watching it, I'm like, ठीक है, चल रहा है, it's sold because obviously the Om Shanti Om homage is coming. So everyone's
Yeah.
waiting for it, and things like timelines melt away. Things like, okay, his dad just died, but also the fact that his mom said, no, we must go. This is what he wanted. Those small things sort of work. And when those things, and I did notice that Aryan may have like he can direct scenes with some kind of dramatic flair. In the hospital, the scene when the dad dies, when the two friends make up and come back, and then Raghav's face first falls, and then slowly they notice what has happened. We've seen that scene countless times in so many films, and this was in danger of just being a very hollow homage. But I felt like he handled that scene like that's when I realized that Thoda he's a little more comfortable also directing some dramatic scenes. And obviously there's the entire pulpy action nonsense that happens in the last few episodes. But yeah, apart from the comedy, beyond the gags, beyond the obvious sort of which he should have done, he better have done if the whole industry is in his show. I think there was some kind of. I'm looking forward to see what he directs next and what genre it is. He can't keep doing this forever, right? Like that's the thing. And the second one is always the hardest. And I saw enough evidence that he has a very solid understanding of Bollywood masala and like
Yeah.
how he can subvert that or how he brings a unique perspective to that as say Shah Rukh Khan's son or as someone as a sort of a nepo baby in a way. Even though he is the son of the biggest outsider in the industry, I saw the merging of both those worlds, inside and outsider, very nicely towards the end of the show.
Yeah, towards the end of the show, I was in. Episode 7 is one of some of the funniest. In fact, the coming together of the final reveal also that these two people who are in love with each other are actually half siblings. That is such a unique and a new and a fresh a bit of writing. Like no, like nothing prepared me for that moment. I completely forgot that his mother was a side dancer or character actor perhaps, and then she potentially had this. But it was so funny that they turn out to be siblings in the end. And Raghav even saying, somebody asks him ki kaisa chal raha hai, and he says puri industry ne boycott kar diya, bhabhi behan nikli, tu bata kaisa chal raha hai.
That was funny.
Bhabhi behan nikli. Very, very funny. Deepshika is very upset with me. She says, you disappoint me, Sucharita. I think you completely missed the point of the show. Not everything has to be intellectualized. Of course, it's not a perfect show, but it's a fantastic watch. Deepshika, that's pretty much sort of exactly what we're discussing right now. That it is not a perfect show, but it is a fantastic watch. Like, we're literally saying that. So sit down, have a glass of water. Jafreen again. Did we watch the same thing? I enjoyed the series. It was so funny. I don't understand the part where you mentioned the writing was bad. Well, Jafreen, maybe you start rewatching this live again. There's about 500 people watching us right now. Everybody, please click the like button under this video, because if you click the like button, this video goes to more people and people know what we're talking about. What else? Do you have any other thoughts on this before we move on to Nishaanchi, you guys? I really love the last episode. I think Grand Hotel also wasn't Grand Hotel where like Shah Rukh Khan stayed at one point. Like in one of his stories, he tells, when I first came to Bombay, I stayed in Grand Hotel.
Yeah.
So when they're driving around, also they drive past Grand Hotel. Motorcycles on the
I'm
ceiling.
just curious, did any one of you sort of expect the reception to the show to be so divisive? Because I just thought I did not expect such strong feelings or even gags going viral online or people just like falling for the show hook, line and sinker. I didn't, like while I was watching the show, I didn't expect it to become like a bit of a talking point or a cultural moment online.
Is it divisive? I thought it's mostly positive. Mostly people have enjoyed the show. Is it divisive?
Yeah, like it's, either it's extreme opinions, like it tends to be with most films or most hits these days. Like, whether it's your film in a theater with Sayyara or this, it's like it's both sides of the fence, but there's nobody in the middle as such.
Uday?
seems to be getting pretty positive reactions from what I can see. I mean, I'm
I am very
surprised.
much in the middle.
Huh.
Okay.
I'm neither here
It's,
nor there on this.
I probably would also say that I am that. Just one thing I would also like. What I really didn't like is just how awful the show looks. Like, just, I mean, it is a.
That
It's
The
just.
Netflix.
that's Netflix
Just
lighting, man.
like
Like I'm done
ugly
with Netflix
frame
lighting.
after ugly frame. Yeah, there's no excuse here. Matlab,
Yeah.
it just looks awful. It's, it should not be. You can hire people.
Yeah.
It's
I was excited to
just
see the
if you
opening
don't
sequence.
care, that is the only explanation for how bad it looks. That it just does not matter. Like, people
Like the
aren't
opening
coming to
sequence
that.
is very exciting visually when Lakshya's character says "मैं कर लूंगा" stunt, and then he does the stunt, and then the green screen sort of melds into this actual
Yeah.
scene that one would see in this fictional movie that is being made Revolver, which very exciting. I was like, great, maybe Aryan Khan has a voice that we're going to see here because it's interesting, it's new, and that visual style of whatever that was just doesn't appear again.
It's the Netflixification of visual language, right? Like we've been seeing it in every one Netflix original after the other, and we discussed this. I'm going horse in every review and talking to everyone. And if like I want to know what kind of market research told them that like having red, green, pink, and purple in every frame is going to make them sort of stand out, and people will look at it because it's ugly, not because it's beautiful. Like everything looks like a Dexter's lab ka test tube. ऐसा नहीं
Yeah.
होना चाहिए ना, like that, like it cannot be radioactive. All your lights cannot be like you are now reverse engineering your writing and your filmmaking to have locations like that, to have a disco where, or to have a pub which has only like neon lighting and the ugliest neon lighting. There's green screen everywhere. And this has happened in Netflix one. Even in their half decent films, their watches like, Zende and like a couple of others, you will always see this lighting. They'll find a reason. Even agar 50s may be set kiya, they'll find a reason to put some lights like this. I don't know how. Like Netflix really needs to, I mean, yeah, it should not be like this. You cannot kill visual language like this.
Ishita, your thoughts on Lord Bobby? DJ
I have
Bobby,
many,
come
many
on.
thoughts.
Please
I have
hit
many,
us.
many thoughts. I want to say that one of the many things that I liked about the show is also Aryan Khan's idea and perception of stardom, because I
Yes.
feel like he is very aware of how flawed it is and how human it is. And there is this one bit now. It is easy to have a meta reading of it, but I'm just saying that even if we don't assume that Bobby Deol has anything to do with Shah Rukh Khan, I mean, it's a little difficult because he keeps smoking all the time, the character.
And everything looks like it's shot inside Manhat.
Yes, that
Yeah.
library scene. I mean, yeah. But I'm just saying that being the son of the biggest superstar in the country, and then when one of your kind of protagonist in the film is of the big superstar of the country, I feel his idea of the character was very humane in the sense that he's a really compassionate dad. He's never misbehaving with anyone, but he also kind of fucked up his marriage in a way. So I liked that he was not detached from his view of what stars look like, even while being in the house of one. Coming to Bobby Deol, very, very hot. This, I want to say that I watched Bandar. I did not like him in the film. I did not like, I mean, not the film also, and neither him also. And I feel this is where he really excelled. He was hot, and he was playing this man who is flawed, but is also with so much style. There is a scene when his car enters in the last episode, and his daughter is like, "Dad, you could have killed me," and he just looks and says, "But did I?" And I'm
But
like,
I
"What the
didn't."
fuck? When did you get so hot?" So I think this was the resurgence, not Animal, not
No.
Bandar. This is the
No.
resurgence of Lord Bobby.
He's actually, I just met him and Tiff for a brief bit, and we spoke, and we did a conversation around Bandar, and he was like, I'm 56 years old. I think he's 56 or something at this point, and he's like, I can't believe it. Yeah, well, yes, babe. He's
That's
that
like
old.
lusting after someone is like my dad say. I mean, younger, but what? This is a little creepy.
Younger than
sorry.
your father, younger than your
Sorry.
dad.
Yeah.
But he said that I just want to do good roles, man. I don't care what happens because of all of many of the last roles that he's Bobby 2.0, so to speak, started with Ashram, the series where he plays this god man, where he sort of came back into public consciousness in a big way. It was very popular show, very popular series. But everything, not everything, but a lot of the things that he's done since then have been discussed. Rahul's gone black. Have been discussed with like some level of like controversy attached to it. Ashram, the Prakash Jha show, had controversy attached to it because the people were like, he's a godman. Why you always hating on godmen? Then there was Animal, which was a whole different animal. Then there is now Bandar, which will have these conversations around it as well. And he's just like, I just want to do interesting roles. I'm 56 years old. I just want to do things that make me happy. And I think that's what it's really nice to see him after all these years of sort of trying to do the things that he wants to do. Like he said to me about Bandar, he said, I have never improvised on anything I've ever done. I've always just done what I've been told to do. And now I'm getting to do these things, which is very exciting for me. So it's really, really nice to see him play stand-in for Shah Rukh Khan. I'm very happy for Lord Bobby. And he's very good. He's extremely entertaining.
He's very
to watch. Scene stealer. He comes in the frame and you can't see anything else except him. Any other thoughts on Bads, Ishita?
No. That's it.
Okay, Deepshika Biswas, I need to put you in timeout because I don't like your tone. Yeah, this is my channel. I can do this. This is what I do. I don't owe you anything. All right, Rahul kahan chala gaya lekin?
Just, I think you all continue. I'll just help him out.
I'm going to remove Rahul from this stage. Does he need your help? Okay, I'm going to remove Ishita also from the stage. What else did you watch, Uday, this week, you said?
Nishaanchi and I'd seen Sabar Bonda earlier.
Nishaanchi and Sabar Bonda. I am not doing the whole reading excerpts from your review again because every time I do that, this thing goes all haywire and then people can't hear what we are saying. But before I continue talking about the rest of the films, I'm going to wait for Rahul and Ishita to come back. They're here. They can hear us. They're in the background. In the interim, everybody who's watching, once again, please be polite. Please be rude. Don't be rude. If you're going to be rude, do not be rude. If you're going to be rude in the comments, I'm going to have to put you in timeout because this is my channel. I do whatever I want and I'm not here to listen to you be rude to me because this is my space with my friends. Rahul is back. Add to stage. Hello. Now you're on mute, Rahul. भाई राहुल तेरे तो इश्यूज चल रहे हैं तो म्यूट पर है बड़ी
Mute. Does Ishita have to go back and help him unmute?
I mean, Ishita's still not back at her station. So, do you think Bads of Bollywood will get renewed for season 2? Absolutely. Why would it not? There's no reason why it's not going to come back, no?
Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
Absolutely. I also sense a lot of the Raghav Juyal stuff was improvised also, I have a feeling. Because he's just that loony of a character. Huh?
Tell me something. How did we end up calling it Bads? Like, do you think they intended for us to end up calling it Bads? Because that seems to be the default that everyone is going with. They obviously want people to say bastards, but everyone's ended up with Bads.
Because the 3 stars are there. There's no 4 stars. If there were 4 stars for STAR, it would have been bastard.
Yeah, but that's when they do the title reveal, it is bastard. So, I mean, that's
in the end
what they're going for. So, I thought that was quite stupid of them because, why would you want people saying 2 different titles? It just does not make sense.
Am I back?
I don't know.
Can people hear me?
Okay. Yes, you're back. Swagat hai. I think
okay.
to not get into trouble with censoring or whatever, but I don't even understand that because there's so many profanities in the show constantly. There's just like cuss words. Manoj Pawar's just going at it. So I don't know, if you remove the star from Bastards, it becomes bad. So I don't know.
Hmm.
Ishita, batao bhai, before you had to go to
What?
help this man set it, unmute himself. Do you have any more thoughts on bad/bastards of Bollywood?
Nay,
Metaphorically.
yeah. No, that I liked the tone, and that how he's disillusioned, but also he kind of also gets wiped the allure of Bollywood. Like Manoj Vaughn keeps trying. This is no, what is that guy's name? Sorry, that's also
Rajat
not
Bhai.
Rajat
The
Bhai.
fact that I
Rajat
remember him half. Yeah, Rajat being this character who keeps trying. So I feel like he also gets the allure of the
Sharaj.
industry in a way. But yeah, I don't have any more thoughts.
I thought that gag was stretched way too thin. The Jared Saxena gag.
Yeah,
Way
that is
too
true.
thin.
Yeah.
That whole sequence on Marine Drive where Manoj Pawa's like, "अरे ये तो मेरा गाना viral हो गया है." I was like, कि कौन लिखता है यार ऐसे? Suddenly मेरा गाना viral हो गया है. उसका YouTube video viral हो गया है. एक दिन में video भी बन. It really annoys me when, and especially like when it's a group of young writers and young creators. Why do you have such a limited understanding of how things work on the internet? Viral look, and these young boys playing football are like, "अरे बुड्ढे तेरे को heart attack आ जाएगा." Like, क्या है, क्या हो रहा है? बुड्ढे heart attack आ जाएगा तेरे को. But no, you're right. When it doesn't work for you, then these things begin to irk you a little bit more than they would if the thing was working for you constantly. Because suddenly in the last episode, I forgot everything. And I was like, this is great. This is so much fun. They're siblings. Lol. I was laughing out loud. And like my husband came from under side. He's like, what are you watching? Then he saw what I was watching. And he's like, Kal to tu keh rahi thi, this is not, you don't like this. This is very bad. Why are you now sitting and laughing? I was like, because suddenly it just blooms into this satire of our times of Hindi cinema. Anybody who's closely observed Hindi cinema, or even not so closely observed Hindi cinema, sees everything that this filmmaker is trying to say in the last episode, and it comes together just so chef's kiss, beautifully. But first 6 episodes did not work for me. फिल्म क्रिटिक्स के ऊपर तो इतने बेचारे किसी कोई नहीं समझता हम क्या काम करते हैं. All right, shall we move on to the next week's release? Ishita, say.
No, nothing. Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
All right, we are now going to be talking about Nishaanchi. Uday, you start. Nishaanchi.
Kind of disappointing for me. I thought it's clearly a Kashyap trying to find his audience, trying to get an audience back, which he has lost over the last couple of films. I thought it was one of the most like Kashyap trying to please people rather than like fighting with people, putting them off. It's like the kind of things you expect from him, being combative, making statements, bringing up stuff that he shouldn't. None of that's there in this. None of that. It's very uncharacteristic of him. And I think it's because he wants to make that kind of uncontroversial entertainer and get everyone back. And I think because you can see that, that desire so clearly, I think it just doesn't work. Like, if you want something too much, sometimes people are like, he's being too eager. And I think that's really what's happened out here.
Rahul?
No, absolutely. Whatever Uday said, I echo the exact same feelings. I feel like, I think me, Uday, Ishita had more or less the same thing. When we were reading the reviews, we realized that, and it's too blatant, right? Like it's too visible. There are, of course, parts that are watchable and enjoyable, some scenes here and there, but that's the bare minimum you expect from someone like Kashyap, who's probably made a career on changing the language of Hindi filmmaking. Like you cannot see that same filmmaker try to rediscover his mojo back when he was making Devdi and Gangs of Wasseypur and making it so obvious about it. Like even when his misfires have been coming in the last few years, like that DJ Ishq and then
Almost
even Almost Pyar and a couple of those other films. But the thing is, I take those misfires even though they're incoherent, angry, whatever they were. I hated some of them, but at least that is so obviously Kashyap, trying to be himself, struggling to be himself in an industry that, in a landscape that is becoming more and more subservient towards, like, the establishment. So you get Kashyap's rage in that even the incoherence is a language somehow. But
Yeah.
now I'm starting to feel like those films weren't, like they weren't that bad, because now I'm watching a film like this, which should work on paper, which should absolutely work, because it is literally Gangs of Wasseypur in Kanpur, and it is literally the same tropes that he became great with. But there's some fatigue about it. Like it's so distinctly apolitical. Also, like Uday said, so safe. For a film that starts with a black screen and an azan going on, I was like, okay, we are in for something. And I was like, this is great. This is a great first shot, or a great first sort of frame. And then
Yeah.
after that, that's it. You don't get anything. It's not like, and obviously with great filmmakers, or with filmmakers who matter in history, obviously your expectations should be high. And a lot of questions, like even in the reviews, I was noticing the comments are like, would you have said the same thing if it wasn't by Kashyap? I was like, that's the dumbest question ever. Like, how can you ask this? How are you not engaging with the point of filmmaking, with the point of storytelling? Like, of course, we should sort of demand more from our greats, because they are the ones who also made us understand, a certain language of filmmaking. So it's disappointing to watch it. And 3 hours, though, I do not think it was earned. That screen time was not earned. I know the purpose was to make the viewer feel a generational story again. It's two timelines. It's 10 years apart. They're twins. There's a mother. There's a revenge. There's so many things going on. But I didn't feel like it was earned the way it was in Gangs. So I think because of that, because it's so derivative, because we've seen it before, and because it's so obviously Kashyap trying to give his audience also what they miss, and trying to also rediscover himself, I feel like it got lost in those cracks.
Yeah, I really liked your headline or your tweet. I think for this, that where Kashyap loses a Kashyap lookalike contest, comes second in a Kashyap
Yeah.
lookalike contest. Yeah, I echo that. Ishita.
Yeah, I think there's a consensus here. Yeah, the film for me was like Kashyap constantly straddling between what others expect of him and what he expects of himself, and like he's going back to his filmography. He's also going back to almost like the archetypes of Hindi cinema, like two warring brothers, and there's a widowed mother, and that there's a revenge drama, waiting. I get that, but I feel like because the premise is so familiar, I feel like he was throwing everything on the wall to add color. And most of it for me didn't land. I mean, even if it did land, like for example, that moment when that the main character, the lead protagonist, he kisses and he says that I've learned it from Raja Hindustani. It's a great moment, but most of it I felt like felt too familiar. The thing is, as Rahul also said, that because it's Kashyap, our expectations are certain kind. And when I was watching his film, I felt like it could be made by, so because he has also spawned a series of filmmakers who have their
Yeah.
style, like that whole thing where he cuts his face like
Yeah.
Scarface. It could have been from a Vasanwala film. I don't know. It felt, I was like, what is it doing in a Kashyap film? I felt like he is going back to almost his prodigies to figure out a language which he's lost.
Yeah. Do you think it's because he doesn't want to make things that would actively anger people and come at him, because he just wants to now make films without upsetting people? Do you think that's what's happening?
I don't know. I feel like even at his lowest, his films were provocative, like that DJ Mohabbat or whatever. This was very flat. Like it didn't have any bite, and that seemed uncharacteristic because we just, like you and I, watched a film which is only at least for me, I felt Bandar was only provocative.
Yeah.
And then when I come back to this, it felt like two different people. It's like Kashyap here feels almost beaten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was more taken with the film than you guys. I really enjoyed the storytelling and the vastness of it, and the attempt at the vastness of it, which that we are hoping that the second part would go even vaster while coming closer to the conclusion. I think Aishwarya Thackeray is very uniquely talented performer as well. If one doesn't know that it's the same actor playing those two parts, one couldn't be faulted for believing that it's two different actors. I think he does a very good job, and especially in some scenes where he's reacting to himself in two completely different ways. That scene where they're sitting at the door of the house, half in, half out. One is in, one is out. And this one says कि हम अब अपना बैंक रॉबरी का शुरू करने वाले हैं, अपना धंधा शुरू करने वाले हैं, निशांशी, टोनी, रंगीली रिंकू और डब्लू. And he's reacting to himself in two completely different personalities. And I thought he was very, very impressive as an actor. I thought Vedika Pinto was also very good as an actor. But I also hear everything else that you guys are saying. It does feel that it is Kashyap just doing what Kashyap knows how to do. And maybe he doesn't get that. But I honestly did not mind the film at all. I enjoyed it. I thought it was extremely watchable. I was irked by how many songs there are. It just keeps going and going and going. At one point, there's not what's his name? Piyush Mishra?
Yeah.
He starts to sing.
Kumud.
Mishra.
Kumud.
Kumud. Nahi.
Piyush
Arey,
Mishra is not in the film.
no, I know. Arey, the voice that you hear.
Oh, okay. But are you talking about the wrestling Akhada song? Like, it's just like...
There's a
goes on
song
and
that
on and on.
the refrain of the song is kya hai, ye kya hai.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, kyun hai?
It's very like
Underlining
budget Sneha Khanwalkar, like very, very much.
Yeah, I really
Like
missed
it was irking me. Like after a while, how they were trying to literally, it was like ChatGPT of Sneha Khanwalkar, and trying to be quirky for the heck of it. And that never happens with Kashyap films, Like you can always see that he's provoking through his music, he's storytelling through his music. Here is like thoda kuch quirky karte hai types. Yeah.
But it's also because there's, I think, 4 or 5 different music composers doing their own thing. So none of the only Dhruv Ghanikar songs are the ones that feel like they belong in this film, which is Dear Country and Upar Wale Ne. Those are the 2 songs that feel like they belong to this milieu, to this atmosphere. Everything else feels like it doesn't belong here because it doesn't quite coalesce as a musical landscape, which it is very much a musical, because every 5 minutes, every 7 to 8 minutes, there's a song with lyrics in it, with somebody singing it. I think there's Arijit Singh also at one point, and it doesn't coalesce as a parallel, the way you would watch a film which is a musical, where the songs are also supposed to be storytelling unto themselves. Yeah, I think he's also very like personally, emotionally attached to this film. I think he feels like he said this in an interview recently, not mine, but somebody else's interview, that I have made Nishaanchi, because I haven't spoken to him about Nishaanchi. I have made Nishaanchi so people will forget Gangs of Wasseypur. Didn't he say that recently in some interview? I saw a clip of it going around. Do you think, as a filmmaker, he's really trying to distance himself from Gangs of Wasseypur and the legacy of that film? And if so, why? Why would you do that?
I mean, not with this one. This one is too close to it in a lot of respects. Least of all that it's like a 1 into 2 film, and that's so weird, because the thing about Wasseypur is it's like 7 films in one. It's not even like 2 films. It's like it could just go on and on. There are so many stories. There are so many characters. So many speaking parts. Out here, you have about like the number of important characters in this whom like we're going to get invested in, will have any kind of meaningful storyline, are very few. Like there may be 6, 7, maybe that's it. Like we're not following anyone else. And to just have that few people over like 3 hours, and then with the promise that they'll all come back, and then you'll have them again over 3 hours, maybe, is just I think it just spreads itself too thin, and it's just asking too much of itself and of the audience.
Yeah. Ishita, what did you think of the acting performances? What do you think of this newcomer, Aishwarya Thakre?
I think he was pretty good. He reminded me a lot of a young Ranveer Singh in just the rawness of it. I felt like not as good as a young Ranveer was, but I think he was almost there. Yeah, I think and I get what you're saying, that he was very good as two parts, because I remember the first two scenes I did a double take. I'm like, is it the same guy who is playing? I think he does that because he is very convincing in both, like the body language, the physicality of both. It doesn't look imitative. It looks very lived in a way he was reacting to the other characters. So yeah, no, I thought that it was a very well acted film. Even the actor, I can't remember his name, who played a young Kumud Mishra, I thought was
Girish
very
Sharma.
good. He was very good. He sounded, I don't, at first I thought it's dubbed or something by Kumud Mishra, because he sounded exactly like him, and he had that smug smile which Kumud Mishra always has. So I felt like he was very, even Monica Panwa, I thought as a mother, Rahul was like, she's too young to be the mother, which I think even Richa Chadha
Yeah,
was
but
kind
she probably had these kids when she was like 20 years old or 21 years old, right? When you go in the flashback, you see how young she is. So at this point, she's like 42, 43 years old, which also I was like, did she look the part? But then I did the math in my head, like, yeah, she looks like she's 42, 43 years old and has two sons who are like 21, 22 years old themselves. No?
I mean, little
No.
unconvincing, but
No.
but I think I really like her as an actor, though. I think she's having a good year.
Yeah.
She is. Yeah, that is true.
Monica, Rahul, your thoughts on
also
acting?
about the no acting, I actually thought all the performances were fine. I have like no bone to pick with any of them. I thought they were all cast well, but they were just fine. You expect that also. Monica Conway, sure, playing Richa Chadha role, and same gimmicks also. Using a younger actress to play an older woman.
Yeah.
Same things. I like the lead actor. I think he was good. But that's the thing. It all just doesn't come together as a film. It doesn't. What will you do with all these performances? And as for Kashyap saying that "Tum bhul jaoge Gangs of Wasseypur," it's almost like the way we try to distance ourselves from our parents and we end up becoming like them. It's that's what happens to filmmakers and their biggest films also. The further they try to run away from it, they keep doing the same thing without realizing it. And he should leave it to the audience to figure that out, like rather
Yeah.
than psychoanalyzing himself.
Uday, do you think he's a filmmaker who's trying to distance himself from his own legacy?
I think he's trying a bunch of different stuff, because monkey sounds, bandar, monkey in a cage, bandar, it sounds like, that really sounds like him trying to rile people up, which is his
So
normal.
that he
move.
said on the record that I want to provoke people.
In this, I think he's just trying to make the smoothest, least like feather ruffling film he can with Nishaanchi, but I don't think that comes naturally to him, and that's why there are maybe some problems.
So are we expecting his Nishaanchi to be more provocative than it is?
It's more interesting than it is, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's provocative or not. Like, just
Yeah.
entertain the hell out of us. Like, anyways, it's not like, and obviously time has passed, right? Since Gang, since Devdi, since his best, basically. And as Ishita mentioned, the filmmakers like Vasan Bala, there's Raj and DK who do the meta, the Bollywood pulpy stuff. They've all come in this last 10 or 15 years. So because of that, the old Kashyap is also slightly dated now, right? It's not as novel as it used to be. Kashyap was the first to do it in his generation, the first to make it a genre. Then everyone came, and now he's going back to that only. So obviously, it looks derivative, it looks dated. So just it looks uninteresting, and that is sometimes worse than being bad, right? Like it should. I don't care if it's politically expressive or not and all, but just keep me awake for 3 hours.
Why are we watching 45 minutes of Mukkabaz again?
Yeah.
Like literally same.
So Vineet,
doing exactly the same thing. Like exactly playing a fighter, won't throw a fight because of his principles, not loves his wife. Same thing, exactly the same thing. Why watch it again?
Yeah. Now we will move on to the title that all of us are very much uniformly aligned on, and that title is Sabar Bonda. We've all seen it, right? Uday, you've seen it also?
Yeah.
Rahul, you've seen it also? Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
I saw your piece. Yeah. Wonderful. Ishita, I'm going to let you start because you and I were one of the first people to watch this film. We watched it at the world premiere at Sundance.
I think
Name
sitting
drop.
next to each other.
Not a
Yeah.
flex at all.
Not a flex at all. How is that not a flex? You're just jealous.
Yes.
Yes, you're right.
Do you recall the trials and tribulations Ishita had to go through to complete this Sundance festival when her luggage didn't arrive and she was
Oh my
just
God.
fighting with airlines every day while watching movies and taking interviews and writing pieces? Do you remember? I was there. It was hard.
And then calling airlines.
Yeah.
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 Sabar Bonda, yeah. I feel like the experience of watching Sabar Bonda for me is also, I'm sorry for the flex, is very intrinsically also linked to where I watched it and how I watched it. I was not watching it, at home at a screener or here. I was watching it with primarily a white audience.
Yeah.
And and because the film is also extremely rooted in the way the story it's telling, the customs it's showing, I remember for the large part I was like, I don't think it will travel, because I was like, like almost like I was very aware of being like a brown person in a white room, and I'm like, I don't think they will get this film. But the fact that the film won the grand jury prize, in a way, it kind of validated that, great art travels no matter where you're watching it and who you're watching it with. And it's just such a good film. It's such a personal film. It's such an uncompromising film about a filmmaker. Like I think you and I interviewed Rohan, and I think even Uday did interviewed the filmmaker. I don't know. No, you and I did. And you know how he keeps talking about how this was a wishful thinking, that when his father passed and he went back to his village, he wished that he had a friend who he could confide in. And to have a film, coming out of that wishful thinking and to be so tender, in a way, even though everything in the film, in a way, I thought is leading up to, something terrible, not just because there was a Sairat reference and I'm like, oh fuck, now something bad will happen. But just to have, like, the fact that Rohan guards this intimacy with almost like radical empathy, that you will not touch these two people at the center, I really, really liked it.
Yeah, it's a happy film. It ends on a happy note. I mean, obviously, we're discussing spoilers here, guys. It's Monday. So if you've not seen Sabar Bonda, what are you doing? Go watch Sabar Bonda. I really admire a couple of filmmakers who I've seen, especially taking their films to film festivals where they're telling stories of their own sort of villages or towns that they've come from with this radical empathy that you speak of. Rohan Kanavade, Sabar Bonda is an example. Jayan Digambar's Sthar was another example that premiered at TIFF and released this year, I think. Then what else? Abhi, the In Search of the Sky that we just watched at TIFF also as another example of this filmmaker who's grown up in a village near Gwalior, who's telling the story of these people that he's seen every day. And there was another example off the top of my head. Karan Tejpal with Stolen. These are the places where he sets his film, where he sets the car chase sequences, are all places where he's grown up and he knows these people. And that just, I feel like that makes the filmmaker want to protect these stories that much harder, because these are my people, my stories that I've not seen growing up, and stories that I've spent my whole life wanting to tell. And that's really what comes across in Sabar Bonda. And also, Rohan Kanavade is also open about his sexuality. Like, his partner is with him everywhere, and he talks about his relationship with his partner as well. So again, that's another layer of authenticity that comes through in this film. And I love all the people who've come together to make this film happen. The producer of this film, Neeraj, has run around from pillar to post, putting these people together to make sure that this film gets seen. And when somebody like Jim Sarb comes on board, much after the film is complete, it's ready, he watches the film and he's like, I'm going to attach my name to this film and travel to Sundance with you guys. And I get to do an interview with Jim Sarb. Then that brings more eyeballs to this film. And then other people, journalists, are talking to Jim Sarb. What is this film that you're supporting? And then, so it's such a wonderful way of making an authentic story. There's the Aryan Khan way of making an authentic story, when you have your whole industry available to you to really tell the story that you want to tell in your heart, which is using his privilege to tell the story. And there's this other authentic storytelling where you're just like, whatever it needs to be done, we were not going to compromise. So I'm really here for this batch of young filmmakers who are doing whatever it takes, but telling the story that they want to tell. I think Sabar Bonda is one of the most brilliant, one of the best films I've seen in the last couple of years. And to be the first Marathi film at the Sundance Film Festival and to win the big award. Ishita and I were sitting there and watching, and we were like, Daniel Kaluuya, look, Daniel Kaluuya, because he was on jury and he was sitting there watching the film with us. It was just a wonderful, I was nearly in tears when they announced the film. And I wrote a review. So the review for Sabar Bonda is not on my channel. I wrote it for Mashable USA. And I actually sent a message to the editor saying that I'm so glad that I got to place this interview with you guys and become a part of this sort of moment in time where this Indian film, Marathi film, has traveled all the way to the United States, won this big award. And hopefully, these blurbs from the festival that are in these major publications will help the film in its journey forward as well. Uday, thoughts on Cactus Pears?
I mean, I loved it. It's just wonderful little film. It's so gentle, like the language, like just in terms of like the characters and the storytelling also, but just in terms of the technique also, it's just so gentle, deceptively simple. I thought both in terms of expectations we bring to it, like what we think. A gay character in a rural setting might be, and how they might interact with each other, and the very simple frankness that the film brings to it, and that's something new. And I think that is something that would also have really surprised audiences in Sundance, why it won the grand jury prize out there, because it's just it was surprise audiences in India, so I'm guessing it would like really surprise people abroad.
Yeah.
But also just on the technique, like I was just like so mad at Bads of Bollywood for just how it was. And out here, it's just so precise, the technique. Like there's just a lot of medium shots, but when it goes in, like when there's a close up, it's always with a purpose. You remember those shots, the shots of of his hair, his hand rustling Anand's hair, and the 3/4 shot of his face, and that. So whenever there are just, when there is an unbroken shot, again it's with a purpose, like with that whole thing where they're outside in the village and three people are yelling at like different points, and then a cat comes walking around the whole thing, and we just see the cat walk all the way across the screen, and your eye goes to that because everyone else is still, and the cat does the whole walk like that. That's really smart. And you don't have to have a budget for that. You just have to have like a vision. You have to care that where the audience is looking in your scene at any given time, where the audience's vision is, and it's just done it so well.
According to Wikipedia, and Wikipedia can be wrong, the cinematography is credited to Vikas Urs. So just a shout out. My favorite shot in this film is when they first arrive in the village with the dead body of his father to do the last rites, and they are in a van. And they get out of the van, the boy gets out of the van, the family gets out of the van, they go inside the house, the camera stays inside. It's almost like he doesn't want to go, he doesn't want to step into this world that he doesn't want to be seen here, where he will be judged on being single, on his sexuality. And like you said, Uday, exactly, every shot is so purposeful. Everything is so purposeful. That shot when his mother is looking for him and he's sitting just by himself on a rooftop, and it's just a long, like a दूर से कैमरा रखा हुआ है, बस वो छत पे आती है, उसको कहीं दिखाई नहीं देता, पूरी छत खाली है. And then we cut to him sitting in a corner. Another shot when they go back to his mother's village. That shot is in the promotional material as well. There's a tree and the mother's father is sitting there, and they get off a car, and this boy who's his friend, he's driven them there, and they get off the car and they just sit down at the feet of this grandfather. Just beautiful, visually stunning to look at. Rahul?
Yeah, no, incredible film. I watched it very recently, and it's probably my favorite Indian film of the year. And it's going to be head and shoulders above most films, I think. And it obviously deals with, as Uday said, it's also our relationship with films like this. how it addresses that, and how it sort of very gently subverts what we feel and tells us it's very non-fiction coded in that sense. It's like
Hmm.
obviously it's semi-autobiographical, and it is him also telling us that when movies are made, they are made about life, but they're always a dramatized version of it so that people relate, so that people here it's very matter of factly. Like whenever we expect something bad to happen, it never really happens. Even I really like the fact that um, the whole film for me felt like the father almost deliberately died so that the parents, so that he has a chance to come back and find someone and conquer his own loneliness, because the father was the only one who understood him. It felt like a Rishta meeting, which is what his parents' backstory was also. So these little callbacks in the screenplay, very simple but very deceptively poignant, and uh, so much of that just it lends itself to so much interpretation depending on who you are, where you're watching it, what you think of Hindi films, what you think of documentaries, and it just the way it sort of treated grief and love as two sides of the same coin, because he is so obviously comes for his father's funeral. They were very close, and one of the great representations of parenthood in Indian cinema this year, his mother's character, the phenomenal performance also, because we think she's going to be like any other mother in the beginning when she's sort of scolding him, and she turns out to be probably the most perceptive character on screen. And
Jai Shri Jagtap.
yeah, yeah, what a great performance. It just bleeds into our subconscious also. Like we just don't realize when these things happen. We just and I love the fact that it didn't feel like he had come back for the entire 10-day ritual or 13-day ritual. He had just come back so that subconsciously, I think he could uh, go back with someone, you know. And that loneliness of Bombay, even though we barely see it, is so visible. It reminded me so much of All We Imagine as Life. It almost
Yeah,
felt like All We Imagine was going to be the sequel to this, because they convinced themselves in this film that if we get away and go to Bombay, we can live our life. But if you've seen that film, that tells you that if you go back, a homecoming of sorts, then that is your life.
yeah,
So yeah, these little, I mean, it's so great that we get to see Bombay from different perspectives almost. Um and yeah, it's a very good sort of couple of weeks, because I watched Jugnuma last week or last week and this week, and it just gives me so much hope. I forgot it was a Marathi film or an Indian film or whatever film it is. It just felt like it was right.
yeah. Cactus Pears is a wonderful movie, you guys. Like I said a couple of days ago on my Instagram as well, the film to watch this weekend, if you, I mean, up to Monday ho gaya, is Cactus Pears. Go buy a ticket, and it's a like 20 people have come together to make sure that this film reaches people. There's other Nagraj Manjule, Saita Mankar, Vikramaditya Murvani, and of course the film has a bunch of other producers as well. Siddharth Meer is a producer on the Niren Chandavarkar, who were all at Sundance before this film became popular, before this film sort of had its even world premiere. Everybody who was associated with this film, because they believed in, like we were there when we saw the film win an award. There were 20 people up on the stage with the film, because all those people had either put together resources or money to make this film happen and bring it to that international film festival. It's Sabar is amazing. I hope Rohan Kanavade really gets to make more films the way he wants to make them, with authenticity. Do we quickly want to talk about the Fable, you guys, or are we okay not talk about the Fable? What do you think? Quickly, Rahul.
It's okay. It's very heavy, and it's a kind of film that deserves a good half an hour discussion, when because it also is one of those films that lends itself to so many. It's such a surreal film. It's hard to talk about quickly, but it stayed with me, because again, it's one of those festival films which I didn't watch at the festival, so watch it later, and because you have to review it and whatnot, and yeah, I'm just glad films like this are these are not only getting made, they're getting exhibited right now on big screens and not just going straight to streaming. There is an
Yeah.
ecosystem out there. People are coming together from the industry to make sure that these films get the attention. I saw for Jugnuma that pretty much most of the ecosystem came together for the premiere. Saying this is our next big guy. This is Ram Reddy. You should watch this film. And everyone put all the aesthetic differences, their differences aside, just to support a film. And we see that happening a lot in Hollywood, right? They do that a lot. Like
Yeah.
from the Scorsese days, right from then to the Nolan days, they've always supported their own. Whatever happens behind closed doors, at the end, it's always for the good and advancement of new voices and cinema, so that even they have something to aspire to. So I think I've seen that happen a little more with Jugnuma coming and now with Sabar Bonda coming, and it's nice to see. It
I'm
doesn't
gonna
happen a lot in Bollywood. Yeah.
I'm gonna flex a little bit here and tell everybody that I watched Jugnuma at its world premiere at the Berlin Film Festival because I'm insane. I spend money to go to these film festivals always. So if you want to hear the first ever interview Manoj Vajpayee gave for The Fable, it's on my channel. If you want to hear the first ever interview Ram Reddy gave for The Fable talking about his film, it's on my channel. Same for Deepak Dobriyal and Priyanka Bose, who are all amazing. This is probably my favorite Deepak Dobriyal performance in recent years. Son of Sardar aside.
After Son of Sardar.
After Son of Sardar. No, I'm joking. Son of Sardar. No, this is my favorite Deepak Dobriyal performance in years. And also, if you want to hear the actors of Cactus Pears, that includes Jaishik Jagtap and Suraj Suman and Bhushan Manoj, who are incredible in their roles. I was there at Sundance talking to them. So all three of them are also on my channel talking about their film. Rohan Khanavade is on my channel talking about his film. And this is before these films anybody was talking about them. So it's a more sort of unfiltered selling of the film that they have made to the audience. If you guys want to go and watch that, Uday, your thoughts on The Fable? And I know I'm taking more time than usual this time around because we have too many thoughts. Uday?
Bit of a difficult film to sort of talk about in Pressy because it's sort of magical realist, slightly slippery film to grasp. But again, just like it's nice to see a film that has such a visual a language of its own. It's kind of hypnotic. I was asking because Rahul saw it before me, and I was asking him that should I just see it later or should I see it in the theater? And he sold it saying like it's kind of like a dream like that. So I went. It was quite something to just look at.
Yeah. Is it still playing in theaters? If it is,
might have exited by now. Maybe one or two shows.
Yeah. If it is, please go and watch, guys. Ishita, I know you have a hard stop in a couple of minutes. You have to jump off.
Yeah. I just want to I haven't watched Fable, but for Sabar Bonda, I just want to say that I really, really liked the way the parents were depicted, because so often we collate education with being progressive, and how this film completely undercut that and upended that, more than undercut it. Like parental love or love for any kind is progressive by nature, will want to protect you. That is what is love. It doesn't matter how much you have studied or what you have done. And I really, really liked that, when they, like Rahul was saying, that if this is the prelude to All We Imagine, that when they are in Bombay and he's crying over his father, in any other film it would be that this is a queer man and his father, who never understood him in his life, has now passed, and he's crying for that. In Rohan's film, he's crying for the father, the only person in the world who perhaps understood him. So to give that layer of empathy and tenderness to a film like this, like, really moved me. Like, of course, it is about two men. It's also about two aging people who really looked out for their son. To give parents that kind of understanding, because these stories do not generally do that. So I wanted to add that for Sabar Bonda.
Please, I would ask everyone to go and watch these older interviews also while you're watching the current promotional material. And it's great that somebody like Rana Daggubati is once again like, watch this film. It's wonderful. Use your celebrity to do that. But if you want to watch a more sort of raw, unfiltered version of everybody giving their first interviews for these films, which include Sabar Bonda, The Fable, you're on my channel. Go check them out. I know, Ishita, you have to go, so I'm not going to keep you any longer. The other film that I watched this week is Big Bold Beautiful Journey. None of you watched that film, no?
No.
तो क्या ही हम बात करेंगे Big Bold Beautiful Journey के बारे में. But as cinephiles, like, there's a lot to get from this Kogonada movie. So, like, literally, it's so open to interpretation. So if you guys get to watch it, maybe we'll discuss it at some other point. We have a lot of good stuff coming up. Homebound. I'm so excited for all of you guys to watch Homebound this week. So that is there. And then what else is there? One battle after another. Hello. That's also coming this week in theaters, na?
Did you watch it? Did you see TT and Leo as well? I saw it on your Instagram.
I have seen both these movies. I have reviewed one already, and I will be reviewing one this week. Last night I was at like one of the early screenings because they're so confident of this film. They've done like 20 screenings for everybody all over United States. Everyone is.
That's great.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So last night I was in like 2 feet away from Paul Thomas Anderson, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Leonardo DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro, Regina Hall, it was amazing. So do watch both those films, and we should convene again next week, right? To talk both of those movies. Homebound के बारे में तो करना पड़ेगा, guys.
Yeah.
For sure.
We will.
Also, I want to say that every corner of this house has been utilized for this live. With 3 people in 3 rooms.
I know. We met somebody in Canada, and they were like, "But last time, Ishita, you were sitting in Rahul's spot because Rahul was not there." And Ishita's like, "Yeah, we are all in the same apartment all the time. You just don't know it." What I'm going to do, everybody, is I'm going to link all the reviews that we've discussed from all these wonderful film critics right underneath this video. Please, to get to know more on their thoughts on the films that we've discussed, read these reviews, follow everybody on Twitter, and follow them on Instagram. Uday has just started posting on Instagram also, I have noticed. Good for you, Uday. I will give you more videos to post. I got videos. Thank you guys for joining us. See you guys soon, okay?
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.